Good evening. We begin tonight with a developing story from the heart of the music entertainment industry, where the meteoric rise of a once-in-a-generation vocal prodigy is sparking an intense, behind-the-scenes debate among vocal health specialists and industry insiders. Jordan, who captured global attention as a child with her impossibly mature, jazz-infused tone, is currently facing the most demanding chapter of her career to date. As her schedule intensifies, an underlying question is beginning to surface. Can a human voice sustain this level of stylized pressure without facing permanent consequences? But what the public sees as a flawless performance might actually be a ticking clock for one of the most unique voices of our generation. Behind the curtain, vocal coaches and medical specialists are quietly examining the unique mechanics of her singing style, raising concerns that the very traits making her famous could be putting her career at risk. It is a classic entertainment dilemma where artistic identity clashes directly with human anatomy. As we look closer at her recent public appearances, the evidence of this hidden struggle becomes harder to ignore. Observers have noted subtle changes in her live delivery, sparking intense online discussions across social media platforms regarding her physical well-being. This isn't just about a singer hitting a rough patch. It is an investigation into the extreme physical toll of modern stardom and the heavy price an artist pays to maintain a signature sound that captivated the world. The music industry is notoriously demanding, but when an artist's entire brand relies on a highly specific, physically taxing vocal texture, the stakes are elevated to a dangerous degree. Tonight, we look past the flashing lights to uncover what is truly happening to Jordan's voice. Our investigation takes us directly to the neon lights of the Las Vegas Strip, a legendary proving ground where the world's greatest entertainers go to cement their legacies. In early 2026, Jordan stepped onto the historic stage at the resort, a venue famous for hosting grueling, high-stakes residencies that have broken even the most seasoned industry veterans. For a young artist, anchoring a major production in Las Vegas is the ultimate test of physical and vocal endurance. The desert air itself presents a massive environmental challenge, known for drying out vocal cords and making standard performances significantly more taxing. Yet while the audiences left the theater in complete awe, insider reports suggest that the grueling schedule was pushing her physical limits to the absolute brink. Performing consecutive live dates requires an athlete's level of conditioning, and when your repertoire consists of emotionally charged, heavy acoustic ballads, the margin for error disappears entirely. Industry insiders report that the backstage environment at these high-profile shows is filled with intense pressure, as producers demand perfection night after night. For Jordan, the challenge is doubled because her audiences expect the exact deep, resonant and gravelly tones heard on her studio recordings. Experts point out that replicating that specific studio magic in a dry, live arena environment creates an immense amount of physical friction within the larynx. The glottal hits and sustained notes required for her mean that her vocal anatomy is operating under constant high-velocity impact. As the residency progressed, keen listeners began to notice a slight shift in her packing, hinting that the physical demands of the stage were beginning to catch up with the young star. To truly understand the nature of this controversy, we must analyze the specific technical mechanics behind Jordan's globally recognized sound. From an analytical perspective, her voice does not function like a typical pop singer's. Instead, she relies heavily on a complex combination of vocal fry, low larynx positioning, and what experts describe as false fold manipulation. These technical elements allow her to produce a haunting, vintage texture that mimics the smoky jazz clubs of the mid-20th century. However, producing this specific acoustic profile requires an immense amount of air pressure and muscle constriction within the throat. It sounds like pure magic to the untrained ear, but under a microscopic acoustic analysis, it reveals a pattern of extreme muscle tension that few singers can survive long-term when a vocalist forces their vocal folds to vibrate at such a low frequency while simultaneously pushing a large volume of air. It creates a massive amount of physical collision between the delicate tissues. Medical professionals specializing in ENT care note that this specific combination can easily lead to swelling, irritation, and the development of nodules if not managed with extreme caution. The deep, dark resonance that defines her brand is achieved by altering the natural shape of her vocal tract, essentially fighting against her own natural anatomy to create a stylized illusion. While this stylistic choice has earned her millions of fans and critical acclaim, it functions as a double-edged sword. The unique friction required to generate those raspy, low-register tones means her vocal cords are subjected to constant micro-trauma during every single rehearsal and live broadcast. Independent vocal analysts and speech-language pathologists have recently published detailed breakdowns of Jordan's live performances from early 2026, specifically focusing on her rendition of high-intensity tracks like It's a Man's World. Their findings have ignited a wave of speculation across the vocal community. Analysts highlighted several key moments where Jordan appeared to be experiencing acute physical strain, pointing out sudden, localized throat-clearing habits between phrases and a noticeable increase in jaw tension. These aren't just minor stylistic adjustments, they are classic physiological warning signs that a singer's throat is actively fighting off exhaustion. Furthermore, pitch tracking software utilized by independent researchers revealed subtle variances in her lower register, suggesting that the muscles responsible for stabilizing her pitch were experiencing fatigue. Reports claim that during the latter half of her live sets, the natural clarity of her voice seemed slightly veiled, a condition often caused by temporary vocal fold swelling. While casual listeners often mistake these changes for added emotional grit or stylistic improvisation, trained professionals view them as clear indicators of an overworked vocal apparatus. The online community has become of theories, with fans arguing that her technique is perfectly safe, while vocal coaches warn that ignoring these microscopic warning signs could lead to a sudden, forced hiatus from the stage. The data suggests that the boundary between intentional stylistic rasp and genuine physical distress is becoming dangerously thin. The core of the issue lies in what industry commentators call the mature illusion, the phenomenon of a highly developed, vintage artistic identity existing inside a young performer's developing physical frame. Jordan has been emulating the vocal traits of legendary historical jazz figures since her childhood. However, many of those historical icons developed their signature raspy tones later in life, often as a byproduct of age, environmental factors, or irreversible vocal damage. By attempting to recreate that lifetime of wear and tear overnight, a young performer risks forcing their anatomy to mature at an unnatural, destructive pace. The human larynx does not fully stabilize until a person reaches their mid to late 20s, meaning that Jordan has been applying extreme technical pressure to an anatomy that is still actively growing. This creates an unsustainable performance load, where the artistic demand outpaces the physical structural support. When a young singer continuously suppresses their natural, youthful resonance in favor of a deeper, darker, and heavier tone, they create a permanent state of muscular imbalance. Vocal rehabilitation specialists emphasize that this imbalance forces secondary muscle groups in the neck to overcompensate, leading to chronic muscle tension dysphonia. The narrative surrounding Jordan has always focused on her status as a prodigy, but this investigation reveals that being a prodigy does not exempt an artist's biology from the laws of physics and anatomy. The pressure to maintain this mature persona leaves very little room for her voice to rest, adapt, and heal naturally. As we conclude our report, the future of Jordan's career appears to hang in a delicate balance between artistic compromise and physical preservation. The speculation surrounding her vocal health serves as a stark reminder of the hidden vulnerabilities faced by modern musical artists. Behind the scenes, the discussion is no longer just about the success of a Las Vegas residency, but about the longevity of her global career. If the current trajectory continues without structural adjustments to her performance style, the music industry might witness the sudden silencing of its most promising star. To safeguard her gift, reports suggest that a significant shift in technical execution and repertoire management may be required. This could mean reducing the frequency of her live appearances, modifying her signature arrangements to minimize glottal strain, or allowing her natural, lighter resonance to take center stage. Ultimately, the choice rests between satisfying the immediate expectations of the market or protecting her vocal anatomy for decades to come. The rumors and technical analyses circulating in 2026 have pulled back the curtain on the intense physical realities of vocal stardom, leaving fans and experts alike watching her next moves with a mixture of intense admiration and deep concern. Whether Jordan will adapt her historic style to save her voice or continue to push the absolute boundaries of human performance remains an open and critical question that only time will answer.